Hi, my name is Ming, but everyone calls me Wen. I'm an associate software developer with the low-code team at Temus. From the time that I've graduated from SIU, I've actually mainly been working on a project for Singapore Institute of Management. And so we do all their stuff like attendance taking, back office, event planning, appointment bookings. I think regardless of what the project is or who the client is, if you want to do anything well, then it's always challenging. And so I think what actually makes a lot of my work memorable, especially with the SIM team, is my team. So the team is basically me, my mentor and software architect, project manager, a business analyst, and one more developer in Vietnam that I work with. And so it's a very small team. We work very closely. We have to do a lot of stuff together. And I guess in a lot of teams, you can run into situations where some people are working very hard to not work, but that doesn't happen in this team. So in this team, basically, like if there's something that really needs to be done, people will always put up their hand to do it. Even though I'm working in the team with some people who technically aren't developers or are not technical, they have very strong insight into what is required for technical work to happen, and they help me with communicating with clients and getting requirements so that it is smooth for me to work. So I think actually, yeah, the thing that makes it memorable is the people that I'm working with. I think when I joined SIU, I was doing another job where I was managing musicians for an organization. And then at about 38 or 39, I decided I wanted to get into the tech industry doing software development. And yeah, I graduated just at about the time that I turned 40. And I basically had told myself that I wanted to get it done by the time I turned 40. And so yeah, I got a job in software development at the age of 40. So that's a big milestone. I think I've always thought about it as I'm obviously a SIU grad and like the most junior in the team, and I'm working with, for example, a software architect, right? And he has to manage more projects than just mine. And so the way that I've always thought about it is one of the main things that I'm supposed to do in this team is to make sure that I need less and less and less of his time so that he can go out and manage more things. And so I find that with like each passing month, I need him less. I need to talk to him less. But yeah, I think just being able to work independently and to get to a point where I know what I'm doing most of the time, that's already a big thing for me, lah. In terms of awards or recognition, I don't know. Like to me, it's just always about the work. So as long as I'm doing good work, that's what's important to me. And I hope, I think that the work I'm doing is getting better, and I'm independently getting better. I hope my team will agree. Yeah. I think the hardest thing about working in software is that you cannot know everything. Especially if you're me, right, and you're coming into it later on in life. You're basically going, if you really want to go toe to toe with people who've been doing this since they were in school, there is just a certain amount of time that somebody else may have spent doing something. No matter how hard you work, you can't compensate for that. There's only so much knowledge you can compress into a certain amount of time, no matter how hardworking you are and how much you study. So I guess for me, the way I get around that is to just realize that I don't actually have to be great at this, at least not today, right? What I have to do is to just keep getting a little bit better every day, and then don't quit for 10 years. And eventually I'll get to where I want to be. You know, you don't start anything being good at it. Most people, when they start, they actually suck at whatever it is that they try to do. And so if you just put your head down and you just realize that knowledge and ability is very much like investing. The real returns that you get that are going to be lasting are usually not overnight. They are things that compound, and compounding just really takes a lot of time and patience, in addition to just hard work. Yeah, so I just work really hard for a long period of time, and I don't expect things to happen as fast as I want them to, and then eventually they do happen. Yeah. I think if you feel, how am I supposed to do this? I don't know anything about software or technology or whatever, but I'm interested, right? I think the most important thing is to just have a logical mind when you're doing things, and to be able to break things down into manageable problems. And so if you find that as a person or in your work that you do right now, that's a lot of what you're doing, right? Sometimes you get requirements that aren't very clear or are very, very large, and seem like there isn't as much direction as you would hope, but you're able to break it down into manageable chunks. That's actually a lot of software, or a lot of what development work is. And whatever you may see that may be very scary when you see, like, long lines of code or whatever, a lot of that is just syntax, and that's just uh, learning a language, like, I don't know, learning your mother tongue when you're in secondary school. You just do it, and eventually it'll be okay. I think the much harder part is actually approaching it with a problem solving mindset, and also a mindset that doesn't get flustered and is just able to break down large problems into a small problem that you can solve. And then if you solve 20 small problems, eventually you solve the large problem. The other thing I would suggest is, like, do it because you like the idea that you will have to learn something new every day. And do it because you like the idea that your work will always be intellectually stimulating. Don't do it because it's glamorous, because it's really not. And I mean, there are also a lot of resources that are online, that are free, that you can just kind of play around with and see if, any kind of software development thing that you might be interested in. If you can sit down and just work through some of these free resources, and you find that even though it's very, very hard, it feels more like playing a very difficult video game than studying a textbook that you hate studying, then yeah, maybe this is for you. you know.